Losing a pet is like losing a piece of your heart. If you're struggling with grief, you're not alone. At mydogdied.com, we understand the pain and are here to support you. Visit us today and find comfort, guidance, and a community that cares. We received a letter from someone who has lost their pet and have allowed us to share their story so that it will help other listeners deal with the loss of their pet. Here is Don with another moving story for you.
Today, I want to share a story about a man named Jim who lives in Corona del Mar, California, a picturesque place kissed by ocean breezes and golden light. But for Jim, life hasn't always been quite so beautiful. You see, in 60 years, he's weathered the kind of storms most of us would try to avoid. Loss, a marriage that faded into silence, a career that ended too soon. Through all of this, there was one constant in his life, a Pitbull mix named Fido. Now, Fido wasn't just a dog. He was Jim's shadow, his anchor in the middle of emotional upheaval. There's something powerful about the quiet understanding you share with a pet, don't you think? It's not about words. It's about presence. And Fido was always there, following Jim from room to room, curling up at his feet during long Zoom calls, and waiting by the door for their nightly walks along the cliffs. Those walks especially were sacred. One evening, during a particularly lonely phase in his life, Jim remembers walking with Fido, just as the sun was sinking into the horizon. He recalls the sound of the waves crashing against the rocks below, the salty breeze brushing past, and the steady rhythm of Fido trotting beside him. It was, as he described it, a moment of solace he didn't even know he needed. No judgment, no awkward conversations, just an unwavering presence that reminded him he wasn't alone. In Fido, Jim found understanding in its purest form. Stories like Jim's remind us of something we're all beginning to recognize. Our pets are more than just animals. They're lifelines, companions who anchor us through life's storms and give us joy in the everyday. Fido wasn't there to fix Jim's problems, but life, as it so often does, threw Jim a curveball. The divorce, messy as it was, didn't just mark the end of his marriage. It brought with it a battle Jim had never anticipated fighting. Not over property or bank accounts or salvage pieces of a shared life, but over Fido, the one constant, the one companion who had been there through it all. Jim thought, like many of us might, that this battle would be simple, maybe even non-existent. After all, Fido was his dog, his shadow on those cliffside walks, his solace during countless sleepless nights. But the things that seemed so obvious to Jim weren't obvious to the court. On paper, his ex-wife appeared to have the upper hand. A fenced yard, fewer work hours, the stability judges look for when making these decisions. And that is all the court chose to see. Not the bond, not the countless shared moments of quiet understanding, but a checklist of living conditions. The day Jim handed over Fido's leash was, in his words, the hardest day of his life. He didn't cry during the divorce, not once, but as Fido was placed in the back seat of his ex-wife's car, ears tilted forward, watching. As if confused about why Jim wasn't climbing in too, Jim's composure shattered. Sob after sob, the kind that racks your entire body, poured out of him. No soft thud of paws following him from room to room. No gentle weight curling by his feet at night. No wagging tail by the door to greet him when he came home. For Jim, this wasn't just losing his dog. It was losing the one source of unconditional love he had left. That realization brought up something we don't often talk about, how the system handles these situations. Can we really reduce an emotional bond, years of companionship, trust, and loyalty, to something as clinical as living arrangements? Can the value of love and connection ever truly be measured in square footage or a fenced yard? After losing Fido, Jim found himself in a space that was both uncomfortably quiet and painfully empty. It was the kind of void that seemed to echo every memory, every moment they'd shared. At first, he didn't know where to go with that grief. But then a friend told him about mydogdied.com. And in his desperation for something, anything that could help, Jim reached out. And the response was overwhelming. Comments poured in. Some from people who shared their own stories of loss, others simply offering words of kindness. Strangers who had never met Jim or Fido, but felt the depth of his pain through his words. That shared experience, that sense of being seen, started to shift something for Jim. Slowly, he realized he wasn't as alone in his grief as he'd thought. In time, those connections led Jim down a new path. One day, he walked into a local rescue center, a place full of dogs who, like him, had lost something. It wasn't easy at first. Each wagging tail, each pair of hopeful eyes, was a reminder of Fido. But as he spent more time there, he began to see something else. A chance to honor Fido's memory by giving other dogs the love and care he'd once given his best friend. Jim didn't just become a volunteer. He became a force of compassion within the rescue community. He found purpose in helping these animals, in being there for them during their own moments of transition and uncertainty. And in the process, something incredible happened. While he was giving so much of himself to these dogs, they were giving something back, moments of joy, of connection, of healing. It's remarkable how loss can shape us, isn't it? How the love we had and the heartbreak of losing it can inspire us to create something beautiful. For Jim, Fido's legacy didn't end when that car turned the corner. It lives on in every wagging tail he helps to find a home, every nervous dog he comforts, every life he touches through his work at the rescue. Fido taught Jim how to love without conditions, and now Jim shares that lesson every single day. And so, for anyone listening today who knows what it's like to lose a beloved pet, remember this. Our grief, though heavy, is a reminder of the incredible capacity we have to love and be loved. And sometimes that grief can lead us to places of profound healing and connection we never imagined. On that note, we'll see you next time. Take care and give your furry friends an extra hug tonight.
Your love for your pet never fades, and neither should your support. If you're grieving, don't go through it alone. Visit mydogdied.com or call us at 855-925-2658 and connect with those who truly understand. Healing starts here.